Hi everyone, how's everyone doing today? I just want to say thank you for watching, and today I wanted to talk about Game of Thrones, but not so much the series as far as rating it like a movie critic, but there's a particular scene that to me relates to politics today that I thought was very interesting. Now, fans of the show will know one character in particular by the name of King Joffrey Baratheon, and for those of you who never watched the show, basically he was a young teenager who by bizarre circumstances is made king of a rather powerful kingdom. And what you discover early on is that this teen is about as undisciplined, unruly, immoral, and as bratty as you could ever imagine a spoiled, pampered child would be. He's pretty much had everything handed to him his whole life, and very rarely is he scolded. And as a result, you can imagine him being king for a very short time was as disastrous as can be. He started a war and hurt a lot of people and caused a lot of problems. And he's eventually assassinated. No big surprise there. He's poisoned in a rather brutal and horrific fashion. But it's not so much his character I'm focused on, is that at his funeral, his grandfather, who is also a powerful leader in his own right, is talking to the younger brother, who is naturally the heir to the throne. And he asks him a rather important question, and that is, what is the most important quality that makes a good king? And at first he thinks about it and tries some guesses. His first guess is holy, that he feels a good king should be holy, which the grandfather kind of agrees and references one particular king who was known to be very holy, but he took it to an extreme where he made some really poor decisions, and as a result, he eventually fasted himself to death because he felt food was of the world and the world was full of sin. So then the younger brother guessed justice, that just is what should make a good king, which your grandfather kind of also agrees, and he explains that there was one king who was very just in his decision making, but to the point that he was also pretty gullible and that he's murdered by one of his brothers. And then the third guess the younger brother tries is strength. He feels strength is what makes a good king, which the grandfather also agreed and points out that his father, who was also a pretty strong king, crushed a rather tyrannical dynasty that ruled before him, and that he ruled the kingdom for a number of years, but that throughout his tenure as king, he only attended a handful of small council meetings, to which the rest of his time he was primarily whoring and drinking and hunting, the latter two that would eventually kill him under rather bizarre circumstances. So you had a king who was holy to the point where he fasted himself to death, a king who was just but is murdered by his own family, and another king who thinks that winning and ruling are one and the same, which they clearly are not. So the next question he asks the younger brother is, what did these three kings lack? What was an important quality that they didn't have? And that's when he guessed the right answer, and the answer was wisdom. The grandfather explained is that wisdom is what truly makes a good king. But what is wisdom? You know, how does a young king know which are the wise decisions and which are the not so wise decisions to make? You're ruling over a kingdom with a lot of fertile lands, with a vast population, and you have a neighboring kingdom that also is pretty powerful, has a strong navy that could oppose you. What do? How do you maintain these lands? How do you know what to do in the event that this neighboring kingdom tries to invade? Does this young boy know anything about agriculture? Does he know anything about the economy? Does he know anything about military strategies? No, he was just a kid. And the point the grandfather made is that a wise king listens to his advisors and heeds their advice. So over the years, as he gains experience, he develops wisdom of his own and is able to start making the right decisions, start making the wise decisions. And the wisest of the kings are that years later, even though they've become of age and have gained enough experience, they still continue to listen. Those are the wisest of kings. And to me, that kind of relates to politics today, looking at, for example, our current president and the previous president. And just to be fair, because people think I lean too primarily to the left, which I don't, but I'm rather opposed to Joe Biden for some of his decision making. And let's look at his presidency. Would I call him a holy president? Not necessarily. He says the right things during prayer breakfast, but truth be told, I don't know that much about his faith. And to me, I'm of the belief that you're better off keeping religion and religion and state separate. So, is Joe Biden a just president? That I believe he is. Is he a strong president? No. That's where I think he fails the most. He doesn't have the strength to be a good leader, and as a result of it, a lot of opportunities, to pass policy and make some really good decisions fall through the cracks. To give you an example, I think he should have raised the minimum wage. I think he should have canceled student debt and gotten rid of the filibuster. And more importantly, even still, expand the Supreme Court to get more justices, to level the playing field. I still think he has the ability to do that, and for whatever reason, he chooses not to. I don't know if he's advised like that or not, but the simple fact remains is he's had some recent accomplishments. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you asked me about him 6 months ago, I would have really had serious doubts about the up-and-coming midterms in November for him. And I don't even know what's going to happen in 2024. I don't want to speculate. But because of his recent accomplishments, he's got a better footing. And I think we're a lot better off than the previous administration from 2 years ago. Are we perfect at the moment? No, not even close. But I think we're a lot better off. Is Joe Biden a wise president to some degree? Yes. But again, I don't think he's making the wisest of decisions. And that's where I think that he fails the most. Now, let's look at our previous president, Donald Trump, whose presidency eventually ended in a total debacle. It was a disaster. He emulates more like the King Joffrey character that I just referenced before. Is he a just president? No, of course not. His idea of justice is totally one-sided, where all the loyalty goes to him and only him, and that he is the absolute ruler. What he says goes. He said those words himself, and that is not the point. The point is of a good, strong president is that he is serving the American people, which he did not do. Yeah, you could cherry pick a few accomplishments, but it's a lot of the bad decisions and a lot of the incompetent decisions that he made that undoes him. Is he a holy president? No, not even close. He doesn't know anything about the Bible. I know he likes to say, well, it's a very sacred book to me. That's another way of saying, I don't know anything and I just don't want to admit it, so I'm going to lie. He doesn't possess any Christian values or Catholic values, no religious values of any kind. And you saw that on full display when he ordered his men to fire tear gas at peaceful protesters just so he could go up to a church and hold up the Bible, like that really means something. Okay, that's just a phony prop. It is bogus. Is he a strong president? No, not at all. He is by all definition a bully, and like any bully, when faced with a superior opponent or superior odds, he folds, he buckles down every time. Okay? We've seen that time and time again. You don't believe me? Really? Have you ever seen him during some of the press briefings when he's getting grilled by a particular reporter, especially a female reporter? He's all too quick to lose his temper and lie even more and just react in a negative way. When he's giving an interview and the interviewer starts asking some tough questions, what does he do? Does he hold his position and remain strong and give a logical answer? No, he tries to lie, make excuses, and when he's continually pressed, he backs down. He ends the interview abruptly and just says, that's it, we're done, I'm not doing this. Those are not the qualities of a strong president. Those are the qualities of a coward, of a failure. Donald Trump was not a good president. He certainly wasn't a wise president. If he truly was, he could have easily won the election back in 2020, and he'd still be president to this day. And he'd be doing things a lot differently, more for the American people, but he doesn't. And I know there's some megaheads that are gonna, defend him to the very end, but the proof is out there that, his lack of wisdom, his lack of strength, him not being just or holy, those are his downfall. He is, by all definition, not a good or a wise president. He is a weak leader. I don't know if he's gonna run again in 2024 or not. I don't know how Joe Biden's gonna do in the midterms, but if he continues this momentum, he could get a better stronghold of the House and the Senate, and hopefully start making some more stronger decisions by making more wise decisions. But that we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, about 2024, I'm not ready to speculate on that. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Anyhow, I hope you understand, and thank you for watching.